Just in case anybody didn't know, I just got done doing a live update on Mom. I got interrupted by a phone call, and that's what knocked me off air. But I finished up that video because I also wanted to do this video too. I was inspired by this video, um, by a video that the Gray Bailey channel has up that Mr. George Bruno done, and Mr. George Bruno was the inspiration for me wanting to do this video. And the video that he had that had inspired me to do this video was his video called Everybody Wings It. If you ain't seen it, check it out. Anyways, about, I want to say, give or take 3 or 4 days ago, um, I had an eval at work. And if you look at the title of the video, it's see, I can't remember exactly how I titled it now, and I just got done typing it. Um, it says finding your skills and improving them, or knowing your skills and improving them. Anyways, about 3 or 4 days ago, I had a yearly eval at work, and if anybody's, I don't know if they do this in big factories or in other workplaces, but I know when you work in retail, sometimes some retail stores do this, and Walmart just happens to be one of those stores. And what it is it's an assessment more or less made about your own personal work habits at work and all that stuff, and what needs improvement, what you're doing great at, what you have excelled at, and everything. And it's supposed to be a positive thing, but sometimes the way some of them go about it, it's more negative than it is positive. So you have to psych yourself up to make it positive somehow. As which in some cases it's harder to do than others. Being with Walmart for like 10 years now, I've kind of, well, to be honest with you, I hate these stupid things that happen, every year, because in some ways I kind of feel like they're just set up to make you fail in something or another. But anyhow, I got to thinking very heavily about this because I was upset. I mean, I wasn't real upset, but I was upset about the fact that here I was, here I am at a new store, and I pretty much got thrown into something that I ain't never done before, and the training for this particular job really wasn't the greatest training. I kind of felt like on their end they failed me, you know, and I had the opportunity to express that as well. And anyways, after I'd expressed to them, what was going on, because they said I excelled in customer service and care and showing great concern for customers' needs and everything, as which was awesome. That was cool, I was like, okay, maybe this might be a good one, and everything. And then they got this thing called tasking, and if anybody's ever worked at a Walmart in their life, or know someone that works at a Walmart, all know what tasking is. Well, to me, being slow and dyslexic like I am, it's hard for me to catch on to things. And it's even more harder for me to do something that I'm not repetitively doing constantly. Excuse me. And, I started to get a little angry about something that was said, you know, and somehow I had controlled my tongue, thank the Lord. But, about how come I'm slow at getting these tasks done and everything, and then what I felt I could do to improve or better. Well, I sat there for a second, and at first I was going to say the first thing that came to my mind, but I slowed myself down and thought about this for a good bit before I opened my mouth. And I got to thinking about how poor the training was for the job to begin with. And so I looked at the manager that was there, and I said, "Well, I said, first off, I wanted to tell you, and because the one manager that was there in the room, there was actually two managers plus the one store manager or assistant store manager that was, you know, doing the actual eval, and he was just there, you know, for I guess I don't know what these other two managers were there for, but you know, the one that was there that my very first night starting the job in this store that I'm doing now, he was there, and I told him something very specific before I started learning anything really. And I sat there and I said, well, I said, I'm going to go ahead and tell you. I said, I know I'm not that great at this job. I said, I really ain't. Hey, you know what I'm talking about then, Rune Dog? Exactly what I'm talking about. Tell your wife I said I'm sorry. But anyways, um I looked and I said I know I'm not good at this stocking job because guys, I've either pushed carts up a hill or I've done maintenance work. I love doing maintenance. I really do. A lot of people might find this kind of gross, but I find what time is that thing say? Okay. I almost forgot what time it was. But anyways, I up and you know, I told him, you know, I know I'm not good at this job and everything, and like I was saying, you know, before the alarm went off, I find no greater peace than cleaning a toilet. But there's a reason behind that. If I'm the one cleaning the bathrooms, I know it's done and done right. It eases the conscience, if you know what I mean. But anyways, you know, I told him, I said, I come from that type of background. I said, I've never had to deal with these handheld computers. I never had to deal with trying to find something on the shelf. And I said, not only that, I looked at the boss that I told this to when I first started, because he was sitting right there, and I could tell this, I like this, I like both my overnight bosses, you know, but I could tell that this one particular boss hated this part of the job because he was hanging his head down. He really couldn't look up, and I could see that from his body language that he was expressing, whether he said anything or not. I said, and I also told him that when I first started the job that I was dyslexic, I'm slow learning, and I said that told him that I'd never done this before, and he did ask me to ask questions because part of the whole performance thing was that said I would often stop and 3 or 4 times a night to go ask questions on what I was already told to do. Well, part of my thing is, you know, is I'm always constantly worried that I might be doing something wrong. And that's just part of how I am because I know as a stalker, if I'm doing my job wrong, you know, or something ain't getting put up right or done right, either what they call counts or picks are going to be off, you know, and it just affects a whole entire system if one person ain't doing the job completely right, like what's supposed to be done. And so, you know, I always try to make sure of that. Well, then you know, after I went through and told him that, he's like, "Well, what's something you think you can do that can help better you at doing this?" I said, "Well, to be honest with you, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I actually got shown something that was forgotten to be shown to me or explained to me better." And I said that there's a section thing with a section of a shelving and anybody that's worked at a Walmart knows what I'm talking about here. But these funny little numbers, I ain't got a price on it, but it has a number, and then it has another number at the end of these two sets of numbers. Well, actually, I'll have a letter, a number, and then it will have like 1 through 10 on it, as which is the sections of the shelf. That really wasn't fully explained to me, you know, that well, you know, and the only thing I really knew was you had this UPC number and this section and this other number, and I was just always going along looking for this number, you know, and always wondering why is it I could find 1 foot down a section the same number that's in another foot of section. You know, it just made me wonder, well, what's going on here, you know? Well, then when someone showed me how to do this, right, it made the job a whole lot easier. It made the job completely like putting butter on toast to me. And I was sitting there thinking, why didn't anyone really take the time to explain that to me better? Because it didn't, you know, it would have helped, you know. Now, as far as learning how to use the little handheld computer, I was shown, you know, I asked all sorts of questions about that, you know, to the best of my ability and knowledge. And there's only one thing that I don't think I can remember how to get to do on that thing, but, you know, I know how to use it to do the job I'm doing now. But anyways, it got me to thinking after that morning that eval happened, and then I happened to come across that video of Gray on the Gray Bailey channel, and it had inspired me. His video did, and so I was going to tell you, everybody, that either suffers with dyslexia or slow learning, or if there's anybody that just needs a little bit more of encouragement out there in the world, this video is for you. And also for anybody that just likes passing on it awesome information to people. After all, we wasn't put on this earth to hate one another, but to help one another out. And so I hope that's what this video would do. I took some notes, so that I wouldn't forget. They're small notes, but anyways, first thing is finding your skills. In whatever work environment you're working in, and never stop. And also, I'm just going to say this too: never stop learning what you're doing, and don't just get comfortable in what you're doing. You should always strive for excellence in whatever you're doing. But these are just some simple steps that I want to share with everybody that will help maybe get you set up in the right frame of mind that I have done that has helped me out. First of all, find your skills, and your strengths, and don't really focus too much on what you're not good at, because later on you're going to work on what you're not good at. But the thing of it is now is to find what it is that you're good at and home in on that skills and improve them and make them better, and also help you put your first foot forward, and give you a good stronghold. And also, like in the work environment, be sure your bosses and the people within the work environment, know that, hey, this is what I'm really good at and everything, and don't totally ignore what you're not good at, because once again, you want to improve on what you're not good at neither. That's how you move up in the world, especially in retail. And I'm sure it's probably the same way in other places in the world too, and workplaces and stuff, but I just know that's how it works in retail. And then whenever you find these skills, know these skills, and then know how you can apply these skills to either further what your goal is in the workplace or whatever your goal is in life. Apply these to help further you better in what you're trying to do, or what you are wanting to do, or wanting to achieve. And that also requires some self-motivation. And also, if you ain't got no self-motivation, find a way to get self-motivated. Because without self-motivation, you're about as good as a vegetable sitting in a garden waiting for rain. So you have to want to get out and home in on these skills, self-motivate yourself somehow. And then also, hone in on the skills and learn how to use them to your best ability. And also keep in mind, honing in on your skills that you know that you have, you can also use those same skills to also improve the things that you're not quite so good at. Like me, at work, I struggle with this a lot. At the end of the night, if all your stock that you're putting up don't go back, then you got back stock. And it's always hard for me to remember where goes what in the back room, and you have to put it in these bins exactly, because once again, if you're wrong, then it's going to throw all the counts of merchandise off in that store, and either something that's needing to be ordered won't get ordered, or too much of something that you really don't need winds up being ordered anyways, and then you have a whole lot more back stock. That's kind of like how all that works, but I always try to remember. Good for you, Rob. Good thoughts. Yes, sir. And thank you, buddy. But thank you for joining and sticking with me, Rune Dog. I appreciate it. I know to the average person this probably sounds kind of boring. But anyways, so I always try to remember one thing, I always try to remember one, find out where the stuff specifically goes, and two, try to find the best way possible to put it on there and everything. Now, a lot of them depends on different management and stuff. Some of them just want you to be quick, 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 quick. Thing of it is, my mind don't register that way. Matter of fact, 9 times out of 10, the quicker I do a job, the worse it's going to be done. But I try to retain, and this goes back to homing in on your skills. If I know it's something repetitive that I'm going to be doing, regardless, I try to hone in on that idea of, hey, this is what you're going to be doing repetitively majority of the time, so at least get this down so that you can be quick at this. That way it may not look so bad when it comes to doing the other. And once again, it goes back to honing in on the skill that you need. And I don't care if you're working a factory line, sweeping a floor, washing a car, whether you work in the nursing field or medical field, anything, all these things will help you out and help better yourself in your work skills and your work environment and everything. And even though there's also some people that have limits of what they really can do, but also remember it's just a matter of mind over matter. If you're really wanting to move up in some place, do so. Like my biggest fear in retail period, and this is a common fear I think for anybody that's dyslexic, is running a cash register and dealing with other people's money. And I've seen some people be the best customer service people ever, and because they're ain't so good running a register or whatever, I've seen some of them get canned, you know instead of giving them. And sometimes I think maybe unnameless retail stores do this on purpose just so they can lessen what's going out on payroll. But I've seen them just get rid of people, for one excuse or another. And also too, if it's like around the big hiring seasons, like spring till fall, and then you have the big Christmas hire season and things of that nature, and most time those positions, when people get hired in those positions, unless you really strive to go that little extra distance, um and everything, but unless you really try, you can't, you ain't, they probably won't keep you, and everything. Matter of fact, when I first got hired in, yep, Rune Dog, I'm not gonna say it, but yes sirree, you just typed it out just right, buddy. But anyways, like when I got hired in 10 years ago, and it's hard to believe with other issues I had, because a lot of people don't realize about me, but I have a bit of an authority complex issue. Yes, I have trouble accepting authority as well, especially when I think that the person with the authority is a jackass. And I'm just putting it out there bluntly. But just because I think someone's a jackass don't necessarily mean that they ain't good at what they do, neither. It just means I have a slight disagreement. But, with that being said, I will say, as long as I have been employed for Walmart, and the things that I've seen and have endured and put up with, it is absolutely a miracle. But, also, too, I think if I would have had to start out working inside at first instead of working outside, I don't think I would have lasted that long, to be honest with you. Because there's a lot of things I disagree with. But I look at it this way, too. I'm not paid to voice my opinion. I'm not paid to make a decision. I'm just paid to do as I'm told. And I find that it's kind of better if I keep that mentality going, but at the same time, because I'm doing what I'm told, don't mean I can't put pride in my work. And I try to put pride in my work, and it all goes back to why I'm always asking, management, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this how I'm supposed to be doing it and everything? And I think in a lot of ways, some of those managers forget about the fact that I'm not trying to be annoying, or I'm not trying not to get the job done. I'm wanting to make sure that I'm doing the best 199 and 10% of what I'm doing for the job that I'm doing. And sometimes I think those managers forget that, I really do. But I decided, instead of being mad about what they said in the eval and everything, I decided, there's a positive thing to this. There's a way to be positive. There's no sense in being angry or anything, especially for the fact that these guys really don't know me. They're going based off of a tiny bit of what they did find out when I got there. And so, I'm just, I just home in on the skills I got, and I try to also use those same skills to help better me. And even though I have no desire to run a cash register, I have absolutely no desire to be management, because I've also stood back and watched what a manager goes through too. You know, some of those guys get in management thinking, hey, I'm going to make a big difference. But then you get slapped in the face and realize, oh man, there ain't like what I thought it was. And I know a manager right now that went to their management training class or school or academy, whatever they call it, and they have tried, and this is where book learning sometimes is not as great. It looks great on paper, but it don't look great at all in the real world or in the reality of what the job pertains to. And there was this manager I knew. He was great before, awesome guy before he got into this management position, as with attitude and everything, and courtesy not only to customers but courtesy to the fellow workers. And when he went to this academy or whatever, when he came back, he wasn't the same person we knowed. Matter of fact, it's like he became a drone, a heartless, mindless drone, And then the thing of it is that shocked me is he started realizing that the skills they taught him in that academy wasn't clicking with people. And he realized this. And he started going back to being the way that we all knew him being. And he had found that he got more results from the people that he was over than what he did when he was going by the books. Now, I ain't saying it's that way in all cases or some cases, but he had found that he done better and got through to people better just being what he was. And that's why I don't want to be a manager for Walmart. I don't want to have to go to their brainwashing school to teach you how to be a manager, because I've ran a detail shop before. I've been a business owner. I have been a young entrepreneur. That's the way it should be. That is true, man. Right on, Rune Dog. You know, I know what it is to pay the cost to be the boss, and I have no desire for it anymore. But I also know that if I was going to be a manager, the type of manager that I want to be versus the type of manager that some corporate chain store is going to want me to be would totally be not only against my personal ethics, but totally not the way I would want to treat somebody else in some things. Now, granted, there are some cases that, like one of the bosses the night before when I was working, we had to do a store zone, and the thing of it is they only scheduled a grand total of 2 people to work on the floor. Now, and also this is a night where we had freight coming in at the same time. Um, our our scheduling only had 2 people officially scheduled on the floor. Excuse me. And the weird thing about that is one guy, he specifically worked in clothing. Me, I'm just wherever they put me on the floor. And mind you, I already know I'm not that great at the job, but I try. And like I said, I try to home in on those skills. And on up until the lunch period or the lunch hour came. Um, After that, the manager looked at me and he said, "Hey," he said, "we need to get the store zoned." And he goes, "You're my only guy." He said, "Me," and he pulled one guy from the maintenance crew. He said, "Me and so we're going to start putting up freight." He said, "I want you to start here, zone, do a good job." But he said, "Don't spend too much time in one section." He said, "Just start pulling stuff up." Well, I also have this thing to where I want things to look good if I'm going to do it. Well, I forgot that, about me being the only guy, and then he had to come back through 2 or 3 times, like, "Hey, man," he said, "I need you to really hustle, and everything." I started to get annoyed by that, but then I realized, oh, wait a minute, well, that's why, and I can understand from that point of view. Of course, this is also a manager. He's young. I think he's only 25, but he's young and he takes his job seriously and passionately, but he's also a pretty cool, down to earth guy. And I'm just like, I understand now, So I put it up in gear a little bit, or I tried to put it up in gear, and I think in the end he was satisfied with what I was able to do and everything, and I was glad of that, because I wouldn't want this guy to look bad for when the big bosses came in. Now, on the general, no, I probably normally wouldn't care one way or the other, but I could tell that he was stressing out, and knowing that he was right. I was the only guy there, so really when it came to the zoning, I was that guy, and that was my responsibility, be part of the team. So, I kind of am glad that he kind of tried to, give me the prod that I needed, because sometimes you got good management that can give you a prod to get you to going, in a good way, and then you got some that don't realize they're going about it in the wrong way. And I think him and the other manager too, that on the overnights, they know how to really do things in a positive way to get you to understand things, and I like that. Well, everybody, I hope you like this video. I hope this video helps out somebody that's either dyslexic like I am, or somebody that's just wanting to know something more about how to home in on your skills of what you're doing, of what you want to do and everything. And also, don't ever forget to try to improve yourself in some form or something, even if it's just one thing every day. And I hate the term better yourself to a certain degree when it comes to certain things, because everybody catches on to things at different rates. So I say at least try to home in with what you got and then go from there to try to better yourself. At least that's how I feel. Well, anyways, till next time, everybody have a great, wonderful day. Thank you for hitting like, share, and subscribe. And oh, thank you, Rune Dog. I try to do a good job. Like I said, I hope this video encourages somebody, not only to help themselves or better themselves, but also give them a little understanding that at one point in time I felt like nobody gave me, and I just want to pass it on. So, thank you all for hitting like, share, and subscribe. Wherever you're at in this world, may you be blessed. And thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to all the fans everywhere. Thank you. Until next time.